There is a chance we could have all been at the same party. We just didn't realize it at the time.
Probably.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Missy. And welcome to this episode of You Should Meet My Friend.
Today we are talking to Lisa Terry. Lisa Terry was recommended to us by season 2's Jodi Hajosy. It turns out that she was in Germany the same time we were. I guess maybe the subtitle of our podcast should be People that were in Germany in the early 2000s, because that seems to be the Venn diagram where it crosses for everybody.
For sure.
But I really loved, Lisa gave us a little blurb. We're trying to be more professional, so we're using this automated calendar program, and she wrote a little blurb, which I love, and that is, passionate about supporting veterans and military families, equitable educational opportunities so all students can succeed, and empowering girls, love traveling and adventure. 2 biological sons, 1 adopted daughter from Russia, 1 sweet lab mix, and married for 30 years. I thought that was just a lovely, that encapsulates so much.
I'm done, right? I was kidding.
As probably would be the case for Missy and I, the married 30 years, so the husband is like at the bottom of the list, but
Right, yeah.
very important.
Yes, very
Exactly.
And the dogs are at the top.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He allows me to be adventurous. He supports me 100% in all my crazy ideas and my excessive volunteer
Right.
list. So, yeah.
Are you talking about your husband or your dog?
Both. No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, and that's
Cooper's pretty chill too.
Yeah, that's what Jodi said. She said, if there's something that needs to get done, then Lisa Terry is going to get it done.
She's so funny.
Mm-hmm. You have an official job supporting veterans and families, and that is working for Howard County. So I have a couple sub questions. One is, how'd you end up in Howard County? And then at some point in time in your life, you must have segued from volunteering to being in a professional position helping veterans. So how did that happen?
Sure. So I graduated from Towson University, which is a state school north of Baltimore. And when I transitioned out, I was looking for a place to live. And I really liked the philosophy of Columbia, Maryland. It was founded by James Rouse on inclusivity and diversity and everybody living together. So communities were built with apartments, condos, townhomes, single family homes, all different socioeconomic backgrounds. And so I like that philosophy. They also have 100 miles of bike trails, great schools. I've lived in 5 different villages in Howard County, which is funny, all in Columbia. But when I was post-college, I had roommates in a row house. And then I got married to my husband and we moved to Japan for a couple of years. And then we came back and I insisted that we had to live in Howard County. We looked everywhere too. And I kept saying, we're going to live in Howard County. Finally did. And we bought our first house and then we moved as contractors to Germany, Ramstein, Germany. And then we came back and we bought a different house and rented our old one out. And we're now in another house that we bought in 2019. So I just love Howard County because of the recreation, the diversity. It's my home now. And I grew up about an hour and 50 minutes south of here.
Okay.
Yeah. And did I ever think I'd be working with veterans and military families? Absolutely not. The joke is, so I got married at 24 and I said, I'll never marry a military guy, never marry a guy from my hometown. And I won't get married until I'm 30. Hello. I did all, yeah. I ended up marrying a military guy, but I have a communications marketing degree. I got my master's while we were in Germany in human relations. When you live abroad, military spouse or not, you just take whatever job you can get, honestly.
Sure.
So I worked in a lot of different fields. But when we came back our last time from Germany, I was a stay-at-home mom for a period of time. And I was PTA president doing all the volunteer stuff. And a guy came up to me and he said, we have this BRAC, base realignment and closure grant. That's when bases close or downsize, and their big influx was coming to our area near Fort Meade. And I have a defense family initiative position open. I think you'd be great. I'm like, you don't even know me. I have a gut feeling about you. I've seen your leadership. I know your husband. He said you were looking. I'm like, I'm not looking. I'm like, what's happening? Right? I said, I'm always keeping my options open. But we had my 2 sons. They were little. And then we had adopted Anna. She'd only been with us for 2 years. Anyway, I said, okay, here's my resume. I'll meet with these guys. Within 20 minutes of the interview, they call me and they said, we want to hire you. And so my first interview after almost 10 years, 10 minutes from home, really good money, doing meaningful work. And I had just gotten an email that came in that a friend of a friend had a teacher who was looking for a nanny job. I had deleted that because I didn't need a nanny. So I looked in my trash, I found it, I called her, and I had a nanny within 2 weeks and able to start the job. So it was meant to be. And then after that grant ended, I transitioned. They created an Office of Veterans and Military Families for our government. And I've been the manager of that ever since. Yeah. I've worked in property management, finance, nonprofit, government, Fortune 500, all of them. And it's just interesting how it all came together that I'm doing communications and human relations, but also using my experience as a military spouse and so forth in my roles. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So what does the Office of Veterans and Military Families, what are your typical projects or things you oversee?
So we're under Human Services umbrella for our county government. And so I help provide information, guidance, and access to veterans, military families, their dependents, and survivors. It could be VA benefits, but it also could be financial, legal, mental health, housing, education, employment, help guide them to those resources. But then I also do fun things like I serve on the Veterans Day Parade Committee, and we have a ceremony. Yeah. And then we do quarterly flag retirement ceremonies with our veteran service organizations. Just did one yesterday morning. I have the privilege of helping homeless veterans, often very sad cases. I don't get a lot of those, but I've had some pretty amazing stories that we were able to successfully house some homeless veterans. So it runs the gamut from celebration. We also go into the schools and educate students what Veterans Day and Memorial Day mean, helping our schools become Purple Star School designees, which is legislation that was passed in Maryland just 2 years ago. And it's to improve or expand support of our public schools as far as military children go. So there's guidelines that they've set that you need to do, professional development for educators, understanding military culture, the unique challenges that military families face is one of them, a dedicated resource page so families who are new to the area can navigate. There's just a couple of them. So Purple Star schools have existed across the United States for years, but Maryland finally adopted it. So
fabulous.
Yeah, go to assisted living, and we honor some of our isolated veterans who can't really get out and thank them for their service. So it runs the gamut.
Very cool.
Yeah. And part of that, I oversee a commission of veterans and military family members, 13 volunteers from the county. And we meet once a month and talk about our priorities and what we want to do and the unique needs of our community. And one of the things that came out of one of those meetings many years ago is they wanted a dedicated veterans and military families monument in Howard County. So I helped co-found Howard County Veterans Foundation, a nonprofit that was charged with raising money for a monument. And we successfully raised $2.75 million, and it is under construction. Wow. Ironically, in Germany, a German company is building it for us. So I'm hoping I get a field trip there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we're very excited about that, hoping that'll be installed in the next year to a year and a half.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So. That must have been such an interesting process because it's raising money, but then how to design it. And I'm sure there's lots of constituencies of people that want to see their aspect of military service in the memorial.
Right. So we were fortunate enough to get land dedicated to us in downtown Columbia, which is on the lakefront. It's a very popular area all summer. There's festivities and free concerts and stuff. So to have that location is amazing. A few years ago, we built a park and playground called the Vivian Millie Bailey Neighborhood Park. And it's named after a World War II African-American female veteran who died at 104, skydived at 102. And she was just a huge advocate. She was on every commission and board in the county. And she actually sent care packages since the Vietnam War to deployed service members called Bailey's Bundles. So just a force to be reckoned with. I drove her the Veterans Day Parade when she was 102. And I kept saying, oh, Vivian Bailey, World War II veteran, 101 years old, and she's 102. And she was hard to hear, but she heard me and corrected me. She was amazing. She was my inspiration this summer, right before my two sons went back to college. I went skydiving with them, and I'm afraid of heights, but I'm going to do this. If Millie can do it, I can do it. Yeah. So she was a force to be reckoned with. And so in that spot, the future Veterans Monument will be there. And the neat thing about it is it's more of a sculpture. It's not your traditional war memorial with military member holding guns. It's stacked stars. So the bottom foundation star is gray granite that represents the community, those who are lifting up the military veteran families. The next one is blue star for blue star families. Then the top one is gold for gold star families, the ones that we lost. And then it's a reflecting pond to represent tears shed, but also renewal and healing.
Oh, wow. That
So it's
sounds
really,
really
it's engraved with
amazing.
quotes, and we have a flagpole with a big pedestal that has significant donors will be engraved in that pedestal. And we did have community feedback sessions with veterans. What do you want this to look like? And
Hmm.
we had a world-renowned architect design it and made sure that we got the approval from the veteran
Very
community.
cool.
So yeah,
Very
we're very
cool.
excited.
I want to be on the mailing list for the dedication ceremony so I could
Me
come see it.
too.
Absolutely.
Me too.
100%. Yes. But
I'm in Utah, but I can always come see
you can
Elizabeth
find
and we
places
can
to come to
trek
the
out
DC
there.
area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lisa, I actually really appreciate the Purple Star School for Maryland because my husband was at Joint Base Andrews and I had kids in Calvert
Mhm.
County schools. And we had just come from Belgium and just the whole, my one son, he had actually gone to, because we were at a NATO base, he had actually gone to a Canadian school. And so I had this, not a fight, but I had to go and battle the school because they were like, we don't understand his grades. Like they're one,
Mhm.
two,
Oh
three,
yeah.
four, five. And I'm like, it's like A, B, C, D, E. It's not that hard, but it was just trying to get the school to wrap their brains around.
Hmm.
You're outside DC. You're always going to have military
Uh-huh.
kids
I
or
know.
kids with unique lifestyles and with unique experiences. And also with that comes some, lack of a better word, baggage or
Yeah.
Unique challenges. But I'll be happy to tell
challenges.
you,
Yeah.
I was on a Purple Star School phone call yesterday with multiple counties, and Calvert County School, I think it was that one, I was a principal. One of their schools received the Purple Star School designation last year, and he is advocating for all 24 Calvert County schools to apply this year. So they're in it. Pax
Well,
River.
good.
Yeah. And I was born at what used to be called Andrews Air Force Base, but now
Oh,
Joint
yeah.
Andrews. Yeah. That's where I
Yeah.
was born. My dad's a veteran. So yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Now I just got to get all the Utah schools to turn purple to be purple stars. So why don't you come on out here when you're
Okay.
done?
I'll see what I
And all
can
the
do.
schools there.
I do love Utah. We did an RV trip this summer
Oh yeah.
for 2 weeks and then visited some of the national parks, and we
Yeah.
have more to see for sure.
Oh, for sure. Next time you're here, you'll have to come north of Salt Lake.
Okay.
I always tell people I am closer to Yellowstone than I am to Moab or the
Okay.
Arches or
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah. So
When
we
I
haven't
tell
done
people
either of
Utah.
those. So that's next on our
Yeah.
list. Yeah.
One of the other things I noticed, because I stalked, of course, your LinkedIn to learn about you, was that you're on the board of directors, or maybe even you're the president of the Bright Minds organization. So, what does this organization do?
Bright Minds Foundation is the education foundation for Howard County Public Schools, and I'm the
Oh,
board
gotcha.
chair of directors. We
Oh,
have an executive director and a part-time program manager. The rest of us are volunteers, including myself. And really, a lot of places have education foundations, and they all do different things. Some raise money for scholarships.
mhm.
We do that, but we provide access so all students can learn. They can succeed in school and in life. We have a number of buckets that we fill. We do early literacy. So if you've ever heard of Dolly Parton's Imagination Library,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
we're the local affiliate here in Howard County. So we fund that program here. So any child 0 to 5 can register and receive one free book per month until they enter kindergarten, to help them with early reading skills, early literacy, enjoy books. So they're more kindergarten ready, because we're finding, believe it or not, in a county as wealthy as Howard County and highly educated, more than 50% of the kids are not kindergarten ready, which is shocking to me.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's one. And then we have one of my favorites is our teacher grant, our teacher classroom grants. So a teacher can feel empowered to submit an application for an innovative or creative or fun idea for his or her classroom, up to $2,000, and then we will fund it. We just had a class that literally built a concrete canoe and it floated.
Yeah.
Yeah, all kinds of unique programs.
Yeah.
And it's just fun because the teacher gets to do something. I feel like so often they're teaching to the test. There's a really strict curriculum and they have some great ideas. They just want to be empowered to implement them. So that's one of my favorites. And we're trying to expand that and grow that with more, because we had over 50 applications last year. And we could only fund about 25. We want to be able to fund them all. We also started a teacher externship program where a teacher can work in industry over the summer. They work 150 hours, they get paid, and they are get assigned a project or a program. And so that way they can take that practical experience back into the classroom. The feedback from the teachers, they're like, they said, I've never felt so empowered in my life.
Aw.
Like, just because I feel like teachers are always undervalued. So then you go
Sure.
work for a defense contractor or an HR company, whatever it might be, and you are given this task that obviously rock because you have so many amazing skills.
Uh-huh.
And so they just feel so great about that. And then they're getting paid for their work. And then the host business, they're learning about their future workforce. How do we reach these kids and let them know that this is a potential career field? What does this generation look like? Those kind of things. So it is really a win partnership. And then we do fundraising for just any kind of access to learning. During the pandemic, we had to pivot really quickly. Kids needed to do PE and art at home. So we would we'd make sure they got supplies to do that. Or at the end of the semester, if they were having some hard time getting their grades in, we would do like grade recovery kits, and we'd send them home so they could finish up. We actually have a small fund for students experiencing homelessness. We have nonprofits here that do that work, but sometimes it happens so quickly that they might need a hotel for a few rooms, or they're getting evicted. They need to put their things in storage. We had one very unique story. He was a senior. He was emancipated from his parents for all intensive purposes, couch surfing at a friend's so he could graduate, but he couldn't get to school because he had bald tires. So we bought him 4 new tires so he could finish his school year out and graduate.
Oh, wow.
That's a bucket of money that doesn't really exist in most nonprofits. So we were able to use that money for that. And we also fund scholarships. We actually have a local wealth management company that reached out to me recently and said, we want to provide scholarships for 2 military students that are in need. And so we were able to do that this year. Yeah.
Very cool.
That's a little bit about Bright Minds. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. We just had our golf classic fundraiser this past week. So
nice.
Always something going on.
Yeah. I love hearing about replacing the tires because I think that people want to do good in the world, but it feels very overwhelming. But honestly, little bits and pieces like that can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Our previous superintendent who retired, he started a sock fund. He got an award with money, and he said, I want to start the sock fund because most kids, they need socks. I don't know about you, but I've got about 51 sock. Yeah, for my kids, they're wearing them. They're it's ridiculous. And some kids don't always launder their clothes right away. So anyway, we have a sock fund, and it actually expanded. People were donating clothes, and Under Armour donated backpacks. And so it expanded over something small as socks.
I'm glad that there are people like you in the world. Really makes me feel better about the world. But I feel really lazy. Do you only have 24 hours or do you have more time?
So my nickname from my husband is called the Optimizer.
Yes.
I optimize pretty much most of my day. I can relax too. Don't get me wrong. I went to Napa a couple weeks ago and I relaxed and had a great time. But I like to be busy, and my day's pretty scheduled. But you know what? Life's short and there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do.
There is.
Yeah.
Well, you're an inspiration. So
thanks.
So if you could look ahead at either Bright Minds or what you're doing for Howard County veterans and military families, is there a big goal or dream out there that you're thinking about jumping into? You are doing a lot already, but you seem like the kind of person that you probably have something that you're thinking about for the future you'd really like to tackle.
I would love to get that Veterans Monument installed. We've been working on this since 4 or 5 years before the pandemic, and then we had to take a couple of years off. Once we get that installed, I'll feel 100% better. Just because we've applied for grants, but I met personally after our county gave us $1 million on Veterans Day toward our end goal. We saw light at the end of the tunnel because it was $100 here, and that's a lot. $2.75 million is a lot of money. We had some state bonds that we got, but I was meeting with companies that are defense related or support the missions on Fort Meade or NSA, or companies that hire a lot of veterans. And I met with them and said, if you give us a minimum of $10,000, your name gets engraved on the stone. And so I just hit the ground running, and I met with probably 20 different businesses, and almost all of them gave me $10,000. So I was pretty excited about that. But that's exhausting. Lots of coffees and dinners and begging. And I'm not really I don't really like to ask for money. So that, and then I would love to grow the budget, Bright Minds, so we could support more students and families and educators. It's all how nonprofits are. It's always scraping by. people want you to spend the least amount of money on overhead, but you need to spend money to make money, but they don't understand that. So we have 1.5 staff. We could use another 2 full-time easily and probably double our efforts. So I'd love to get to that point. Another nonprofit that I support, in your opening remarks, Empowering Young Women. I used to be a Girls on the Run coach, it's an after school program where you girls exercise, but you also talk about how to make friends and how not to gossip and how to eat healthy and those kind of things, and do well in school. I'm a mentor for a high school student in a local nonprofit called Ohana HC. And Ohana means family in Hawaii.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
family, you never leave anyone behind. So the idea, a couple named Susan and Steve, they started this nonprofit with one school, one high school, and 10 eighth graders that were at risk maybe for attendance or grades, circumstances, refer to the program. And then they had a group of 10 mentors. So it's not just me, the student. I have 3 other mentors, because it sounds scary and hard if you have to be the sole mentor. So because we're all busy. So sometimes we're one-on-one with the students. Sometimes we all get together and do something. And so it's really just to help them connect to resources in our community so they can better their lives. And we have 2 older Jewish women on the team. We have me, and we have a Black student achievement liaison. So it's a diverse group of mentors that is working with the student. And so I'm really excited about that. And it's grown to include 3 additional high schools. And now they went from, I think, 15 volunteers to 200.
Oh, wow.
In the last 4.5 years. So it's growing. So that's an organization that I support as well. There's a lot of overlap with education.
Sure.
But it would be great to see that one grow and just get more volunteers to help to be mentors.
And your mentee where are they in their high school
So
life?
they are a senior. Yes.
Wow.
She unfortunately dropped out of school for a number of reasons, but she's been doing online school. So we've been supporting her there and trying to get her motivated to finish.
Sure.
And then look at what options are after high school. Will it be a trade? Will it be a career? Certification? Will we work? College? She's exploring those right now. It's a little overwhelming I think, for parents who have seniors or juniors.
Sure.
And with her situation, she's struggling. What's next for me? So we're trying to help her navigate that.
And I think too, when you have a empirically successful life and you see someone who's struggling, your first thought is to just say, you should do better. But sometimes they honestly don't know what that looks like at their level.
Yes, yeah. I agree. I've learned a lot from this experience and in general with the education system. My kids, they have a lot of resources at their disposal. I can get a tutor. Not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot and become very patient and resourceful.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I had to help my son's friend one time work through the college application process. And then once she got accepted, housing and tuition and all that. It's one thing when it's your own child, because you can like yell at them and tell them, you need to do this and you need to do it now. And she came to us with her laptop and she was like, can you guys help me? And I was like, oh yeah, I hope so.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It
I
is.
have one more to go. And the first 2, they did a lot on their own, but it was still so stressful. I don't want to go through that again, but I have one more.
I did wish that there were more resources because she wanted to go to college and her parents just were not equipped to help or were unable to help. And she came to us and we're like, absolutely, we'll help you. But it was a little overwhelming. Yes. And I was like, who can I call?
Yeah, it is nice. And you think there's all these scholarships out there, but they're not that easy to get.
No.
Yeah.
And they take a lot of time. So if a student is already overwhelmed and really busy, then you're going to ask them to spend hours and hours on scholarship applications. It's a lot. So
yeah, for sure. Amen to that. So.
And I don't know if your kids were like this, Lisa, but my 2 kids were so completely different in how they approached all things school related. So how they got through high school, how we looked at colleges, how we picked colleges, how we applied to colleges. Nothing I learned with my firstborn was useful whatsoever for my secondborn.
No.
Yeah. No, I would agree. Having 3, they're all so different. They have different paths, different strengths, different interests, different motivational strategies, whatever.
Yep.
You mentioned you went skydiving with your son. So what did you think?
I loved it. And so I'm very afraid of heights. All of my friends know that. Having been in Germany, I know you went to the Neuschwanstein Castle and that bridge. I literally cried and held the sides and walked across it. And I literally was in tears. I went to the Space Needle last year and they have that glass bottom. People are laying on it. I am like, no way. I literally, my stomach was churning. I was sweating. And I just always wanted to skydive. And I have two college sons. I'm really close to them. And I just wanted to have that bonding with them. I wanted them to think I was the cool mom, not the nap mom. What do your grades look like? And did you do this? And you need to get more involved and make sure you talk to your professors and get to know them. I just wanted to be the cool mom for once. So
sure.
I got them a gift certificate for Christmas. And I said, before you guys book this, just check with me. I think I want to do it with you. They're like, oh, sure, mom, whatever. And they finally did. I said, I'm doing it. So I signed up and I have no idea what happened that day. We drove there. I was fine. I kept waiting for the nerves to hit. We went through our orientation. I met my tandem instructor. Of course, I did say, how many jumps have you had? And he's 10,000. I said, okay, I'm in good hands. And we went up in this small airplane. I'm still waiting for the nerves to kick in. They have me lean over. I'm still waiting. And then I just jump. And the first, I don't know, 30 seconds, your face is like contorted. And then it was just relaxing. And I thought, wow, why did I have no idea why the nerves never kicked in, because they always do. So I don't know. Something happened that day. So maybe I'm over it. I don't know. But
you better jump again and see.
I know. I think I would do it again. I literally said, oh, one and done. But after I was finished, and of course, my one son's like, Mom, that was the coolest experience ever. Oh my God, what a rush. And I was like, secretly, yes. But I said, I would do that again. I really would. Very fun. Very fun. I like to push myself.
My 50th birthday coincided with the same year my daughter turned 18. So that was on my list to go skydiving. And she and I had the same reaction. We're like, yeah, let's go again. It was really cool.
Yeah. So you did do it. That's neat. Yeah. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not jumping out of any planes anytime soon, ladies.
Most of my friends said, honestly, like, you are nuts. And I was like, yeah, maybe a little.
Gotta be a little crazy.
Yeah. We had a season of our life where we go out. It's towards Frederick, is one of those like aerial, it's called Adventure Park.
Oh,
it's like one of those like aerial climbing things where they have all these obstacles to climb between trees, but they also have zip lines. A rope course, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I remember our kids had scattered and my husband and my brother and I were shaking and we're trying to get across this really difficult obstacle. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to my grave because I just want to be the cool person who does stuff like this with my kids. And someday I'm going to pay the price leaping behind them towards some adventure just because I want to be cool and I want to be part of what's going on.
I know. I want to be a part of it too. I want them to want to hang out with me when they get older. That's the thing. Like, I want them to want a vacation with me, come hang out with me with their kids and stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. So it sounds like you go on lots of adventures. Where are your adventures for 2025 going to be?
So since my son is studying abroad, we're going to do 2 weeks in Europe. I'm hoping I haven't done Portugal. Having lived in Germany, I felt like we did everything else, but we didn't make it to Portugal. So I want to do that. And I'd like to go to Gibraltar and climb those stairs with the monkeys at the top.
Yep.
So that's on my list, hopefully for the summer. So we just got back from Napa.
So we stayed in Sevilla and drove down to the Alhambra and we did Gibraltar and then we drove over to Portugal. Best vacation. It was.
Yes. I'm very excited.
Again, a heartbeat. Yeah.
That's great. Yes. Yeah. I'm very excited. And I don't know that I can wait a whole semester to see my son. So I'm looking at tickets like halfway through the semester. And my mom hasn't been to the Tulip Festival in Kuchenhof. And she's a big gardener. My dad passed away and she joined the garden club. And so I would love to surprise her and take her maybe for spring break. So anyway, I'm trying to find good airfare and surprise her.
For sure. Must
be cool.
We took my in-laws and I said, oh, so how'd you like it? My father-in-law was like, that was a really expensive ticket to go see a garden. And I'm like, it's lost on you. You just don't understand it. Like, this is world renowned. Oh, come on. But I think we went there when we lived in
Germany, but one of my girlfriends is taking her mom. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's brilliant. I've always wanted to take my mom. And my mom's, 81. and she really
Mm-hmm.
won't travel unless I take her because she always
Sure.
says, I said, Mom, where do you want to go? She's like, anywhere you want to take me.
Aw.
So I've got to plan it.
Very cool. So we were on a 3-year tour in Germany. I ended up leaving after only 2 years, and we did our best to see as much as we could, but man, there's just so much more to go see.
Exactly.
There
Yeah.
really is. My grandmother was a Scandinavian immigrant that came into Ellis Island, and she's from a very small island called Åland. It's an archipelago off the coast of Stockholm. And she
Oh,
was one of
wow.
8. So I have a lot of relatives that still live there. And I went when I was 15. I'd never been on a plane before. I went there with my mom and my grandmother for a month, and nobody really spoke English except for a couple of my younger cousins. And her name's Jean. She was one of my cousins around my age. We became pen pals for many years.
Hmm.
We lost touch, and then we found each other on Facebook. And so we've been back and forth for many years. So in 2019, my son, who played travel soccer, he got an opportunity to go to the Gothia Cup, which is the largest youth soccer tournament in Europe. And so we made it a family trip, and we went to Orland
Uh-huh.
because I grew
Aw.
up. My grandparents lived in DC. They met on the boat coming over, and they're from the
Oh,
same island. It
wow.
was so
Oh,
crazy. Yeah.
wow.
And my grandmother was Meriwether Post of Post cereals, the heiress to Post cereals. My grandmother was her domestic help, and my uncle was her butler.
Oh,
So
wow.
she hired a lot of European staff.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, just a lot of history there. We'd go to my grandmother's house every Sunday for dinner with all my cousins, and we'd always have Scandinavian food. At Christmas time, we would go to the Swedish lodge and dress as angels and sing the
Uh-huh.
Santa Lucia song. And so my brother grew up with that, and my kids were exposed to it, but they didn't really know my grandmother. And so when they got to see where their grandparents were from and where our Scandinavian tradition and history are from, they love it. It's like one of their favorite places now to go is Åland. And yeah, we were fortunate enough to go there and then go to the Gothia Cup in Gothenburg, Sweden. And the cool thing is, I had 2 of my cousins, my younger cousins. So my third cousins came this summer. One came for 2 weeks and one came for one. The 30-year-old one, she had never been to the US. So she stayed
Oh,
with us for
wow.
2 weeks. We took her to DC and New York and Annapolis
Oh,
um,
awesome.
and she loved to thrift. So I took her to the thrift
Oh,
store. Anyway,
fun.
it was just fun to see. She had never seen a school bus or a squirrel. So you're seeing all this stuff through her eyes. She was just like, gosh, oh my gosh. Oh, she never had a donut from Dunkin' Donuts. So anyway, it was fun having her. And then he's in his mid-20s. He had been to the US before, but he came with his buddy and they stayed with us for a week. And we had the Maryland crabs. You have to eat Maryland crabs.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's been neat to have experience going to this very small archipelago island, group of islands. And then now my cousin's children are coming to stay with us. So
Yeah.
it's
Very
been pretty
cool.
neat. Yeah.
Very
I don't
cool.
even know how I got on a tangent, but anyway.
Oh, no.
Oh.
We were talking about future adventures.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all
Yeah.
about tangents here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I know. I'm always caught between you go somewhere and you have a really good time. So, of course, you want to return. But then there's also a very long list of other
much
places
to
to go
see.
to.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not a big return
Yeah.
person.
We were invited by friends of ours to go on this bicycle trip in the south of France this last summer. And we'd never been to that part of France. And so we're like, sure, we'll try it. And it was really great. It was lovely. I love the tour company. We had a really great time together. I would totally do a tour again. And so then she texted me, yeah, we're going to do the tour next summer to Normandy. I'm sure we'd have a great time because it's with the same tour company,
already done.
but we've been there.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so
Exactly.
hard. I've been to those places too. And I think about taking my sons because the history, but
Right.
I've already been there. So there's
Yeah.
certain things where I say, you know what? They can go with their friends or their significant other
Absolutely.
in the future.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take them to all the cool places. So
Right.
they have to
Right.
have their own first with their
Exactly.
people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Hopefully I answered in a non-snooty way. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, but I'd rather go somewhere I haven't been.
Right.
I know.
Right.
I know there's so many places, so little time because my husband and I are not retired yet, but we talk about it literally weekly.
Yeah, we did.
All the time. And he's always pulling up the savings and the accounts and well, we're good. We're on target. We just got to get these kids through college first.
Yeah.
But yeah, we talk about what that looks like. And the first thing we want to do is just travel. And we met this retired couple at the beach and they were so cute. I loved how they described life after retirement. As soon as you retire, it's the go stage. Go and do it all as much as you can. Then
Right.
there's the slow go where you can do some stuff, but not as much. And then there's the no go. when you just,
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm ready for the go-go.
Yeah. So whenever anybody, especially when we lived in Europe twice, and then anywhere we've ever lived, our rule, and I told people, when you come to visit me, especially in Europe, because I'm only here for a finite time, that we're not going anywhere that I've already been.
I can imagine if I didn't have that many people visit us when we were in Germany, we would go to Heidelberg just because that's
Oh,
really
yeah.
cool. Yeah, there
That's
were a
close
few
by.
things that were over
Oberstein.
the Gem
Yeah.
City. Yeah. There were
Mhm.
certain ones that weren't too far away that you could do in a day or so. But yeah, you didn't want to repeat everything every single time a friend came. So
Yeah.
I get
The
that.
only thing I want to repeat about Germany, and I'm not like writing off the entire country of Germany for the rest of my life, but when we were there and you'd be along the river and you'd see the river cruises,
Mhm.
Yes.
that is what I
Yes.
want to do. Even though it's going to
The
be
Mosel,
going,
right?
yeah, if it goes on the Rhine, I've probably seen most of what's along there, but it just looked like such a great way to
Right.
travel. And I
Yeah.
realized that I'm still younger than the average age on the river cruise, but I
Yeah.
think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A friend of
I
mine
heard
went and they went in like November and it hits all the Christmas markets.
Oh,
Oh,
that's one thing I
that,
do miss is the Christmas
yes, I
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
and drinking
I
glue
heard
wine
the
outside when it's cold. When I lived abroad, I always wanted to buy souvenirs everywhere I went. And now I have so many, I'm over that.
Oh, I
So
know.
it's not the
Right.
same anymore. I just want to go and talk to people and eat and drink and
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
nice thing when we all lived there is like the best Christmas markets were just the little unfamous
Oh,
ones
Oh
that were
yeah.
just in your
yes.
little village.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I
Well,
would like
and
to go
being,
to Oktoberfest again sometime because
yeah.
that was such a cool experience. Although it was so fun. We have a million stories from that night. I don't,
Right.
you know how it is like second time and it's never going to be the same. But part of me wants to go back because it was so fun.
It has been so awesome getting to know you, Lisa. And Missy and I were trying to learn and grow and be more efficient with our time.
And to respect other people's time.
You're both very easy to talk to and it's fun. And we obviously have a lot in common. But yes, I get it. You can't just carry on like this for hours.
That's right. Well, let's go ahead and we'll proceed with these questions that we sent you
Okay.
beforehand. So,
Okay.
just the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
What would be the title of the book about your life?
During the pandemic, I posted a lot. I was trying to reconnect with people, connect with people. I have a book club. I got a virtual book clubs with local authors. It was really fun.
Yeah.
And if you recall, during 2020, George Floyd, Dante Wright, and Black Lives Matter, all of that was happening. And I really wanted to better understand racial inequities and discrimination and all of these things. So I did a lot of reading and listening and self-reflection. And through work, we did some racial equity training. I've talked to my friends of color, et cetera, et cetera. And so whenever I learned something, or read something, watched a video, I would post it and I would say, listen, learn, lead with your heart. That's would be my book.
Oh, that's
I
great.
love
Learn and
that.
lead with your heart. So that was my motto for the 2020, 2021. So that was the first thing that came to my mind. Yeah.
And I think that should be the title of your future book that you should write.
I do want to write one someday, but who knows? I'm going to find some time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You've got so much time on your hands there,
A couple
Lisa.
hours in a day.
You slacker. Yeah. Okay. Question number 2. What's an unpopular opinion you have that you stand by?
So I had a funny one and I had a serious one. So
Hear them both.
everybody loves Crocs and Birkenstocks. I think they're the ugliest shoe ever. Both of them. I will never. My kids
Yeah.
have 5 colors. I have a lot of friends that wear
Yeah.
Birks, and they're really good for your feet, Lisa. And I'm like, nope. So
Yeah.
anyway, I know they're popular, but not to me.
I like
So,
it. I support that. I support
okay. My kind of more serious one, I would say, is I think that our children need to do more chores. I think they need to be doing chores in their house. I feel like a lot of kids are overscheduled with extracurricular activities, and their parents say, "Oh, school is your only job," and they
Right.
don't have them do those things. And so, I think it's important for children to recognize their contributions to their family, to their household, and that matters. And even if you can afford to have someone mow your lawn or clean your house, there are still a lot of other chores to be done. And maybe you don't have to sign them. Maybe Johnny doesn't have to empty the dishwasher every day, But he should know that if you say, hey, I need you to go poop scoop, or I need you to go do X, Y, and Z, then there shouldn't be any argument. Just do it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't know a lot of parents whose kids don't do any chores at all. And it blows my mind. And my sons both started working part-time at 15 and never stopped. They love having their own money. They just love it. They don't ask me for anything. And I'm grateful. They have to learn how to budget. And if they really want something, they just save for it. So yeah, I think I would say having your children do chores and recognizing that we all have to contribute to our family in some way.
Yep.
I would only say I don't like to do chores, but I do them.
Who does? Who does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But I think when these kids grow up to be in a work environment, if you're on any part of team, any kind of work team, everyone needs to contribute, even doing the stuff they don't like to do. So
there's always parts of our job that we don't like. Everybody should know how to scrub a toilet. Let's be real. I mean,
exactly. I'm sure they did not like it, but anytime they complained about a school group project, I'm like, I hate to tell you, but your entire working life is going to be group projects. So you're going to have to figure it out.
Yeah. Kids have to be uncomfortable. They have to do things that they don't want to do.
Yep.
So,
yeah. Okay. If your house is on fire and all humans and pets are safe and accounted for, what is one thing you would grab to rescue?
That was an easy one for me. And I ran it by my daughter and she said the exact same thing. And it's all of her adoption papers from Russia because they would be really hard to replace.
Right.
Yeah.
I would do, like her original birth certificate and everything. So that's what.
That was a really good one. I'm not trying to go through these fast, but what organization, and you don't have to pick just one, Lisa, because I know you have several. What one organization or what organizations would you like our listeners to know about so that maybe they can support it?
I shared with you the three that I'm most involved with now: Bright Minds Foundation, the Howard County Veterans Foundation, and Ohana. But I would say on a larger scale, really, to me, any nonprofit that would support children, our most vulnerable children, whether that be foster care or low-income children, children of second language, our most vulnerable population, if you can find a nonprofit to support in those areas and just offer your resources and a little bit of time, and not even money. Our schools would welcome any volunteers to do just about anything. Yeah, I'm passionate about education, equitable opportunities, because equal opportunity is not the same as equal access. Getting in your schools and getting your hands dirty and just helping out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was just proud of myself because this week we got an email for the parent council and our high school. I don't know why, but we had so many people that volunteered. We actually had to vote for them because they were like, we can only really have.
That's a good crowd to have because that doesn't normally happen. We've had uncontested PTA presidents forever. So.
Forever.
You know?
I know.
Yep.
I have a friend that can't get out of her band boosters president position because of the same reason.
Well, I'm board chair for Bright Minds for the third year in a row. You're only supposed to do two. So I get it.
Gotcha.
It's because you're doing a great job. But yeah, I recognized a couple people. I did my research. I was like, I'm going to take this serious. So I'm glad to see other parents taking it serious and engaging. One last one. And I'm sure you have somebody because it sounds like you surround yourself with only the best. What friend do you have with an interesting story to share, for instance, who you would recommend that we interview next?
Okay. So I have a couple, but one of the people that comes to mind is
we will take multiple recommendations.
Okay.
Yes.
So Tanisha Agramonte, she is also a veteran spouse. She's the Chief Diversity Officer for Walt Disney Company. And her story is really cool because she started out as an enlisted wife, got her degree, later got her master's, worked for the Office of Civil Rights or federal government. She started a program for first generation professionals. So those people who were maybe the first to go to college in their family, or the first to be professionals, meaning most of their family members were blue collar workers, and she really just showcased all that they have to bring to the table: grit, resiliency, diversity. For we talk about teams, you have to have a diverse team. We can't all be thinking alike. And so she ended up leaving the federal government and then doing DEI for Motorola in like senior position. And now she is the chief diversity officer, senior VP at Walt Disney. And so she's doing all that. And so she has a lot of stories to tell about her experience and she's a Black woman going through this process. And so I think she'd be great because I think diverse teams are very valuable to any organization. And the more we understand that, the more we value that, the better off we'll be. So I would say her. And then I have a friend, I love this she started a nonprofit and I just think it's sweet. It's a sweet organization. Her name's Tracy Kisenberry and her nonprofit is Icing Smiles. And she was not a baker, but she decided to start this nonprofit where local bakers bake cakes or cupcakes, like fancy, themed for children going through cancer and to make their birthday special. And I just think I love the name Icing Smiles. And it's really getting your local community, your local bakers involved in, because she's all over now, just making a young person going through a lot, making one of their birthdays extra special. And so it might be an Elmo cake or a Barbie cake or dinosaur cake, who knows? So I love that. I just think it's a sweet organization, literally sweet.
Cool.
I love people that find such a unique niche in our society. Like I never would have thought of that.
Yeah. No.
So I'm glad I'm glad there's smarter people out there than me.
We have over 1,100 nonprofits in Howard County, and there's a lot of overlap. But when you when you hear something like that, it warms your heart because it's a little niche and it doesn't have to be this gigantic thing that takes tons of money. It's just sometimes a little thing.
Yeah. I love it.
There's an author that I'm not friends with him, but I read his book and his story is pretty powerful. So I want to share the name of the book. It's called The Master Plan, The Journey from a Life of Prison to a Life of Purpose. And his name is Chris Wilson. And he's a local Marylander. He was sentenced to life in prison at 15. He was sentenced as an adult. And he basically put a master list together and reformed himself and he got out. And he is a successful businessman, nonprofit, and artist, and just doing really amazing things in the Baltimore area. So the book is pretty powerful. And I think he'd be really interesting to interview. During the pandemic, my book club read that. And he said that he would meet us virtually. And he's a big guy now. He said, if you guys donate 50 books to the trauma center in Baltimore. So I collected money and we donated books to the trauma center in Baltimore. And he came and joined us for an hour and a half. So that was pretty neat.
Cool.
I'm going to go and contemplate all of my life choices and what I'm doing with my life.
You guys are showcasing a lot of the amazing work that's going on around our country in big and small ways. And that's important.
I just think every person has some story that can be a connection with somebody else or inspiring to somebody else. And you don't have to be famous or fancy or have 8 million followers. It's
honestly, the people that are not famous and not fancy are usually the most interesting anyway, if you ask me.
Lisa, it was so awesome to meet you. So lovely to meet you. As if it would not be awesome since Jodi so highly recommended you.
Thank you for having me. I remember when she sent me the link to the pod and I'm like, this is great. I love this podcast. And then I listened to half of hers and I sent her a text. I'm like, I'm so proud of you. I knew that you did great stuff. And then I listened to the rest and I saw that she nominated me and I felt bad I didn't finish it. So I texted her back and I was like, and thanks for rating me. So I didn't even know at the time. I was like all excited about this podcast. So anyway, thank you again for having me.
You're welcome.
Lots of fun.
So Missy, I would ask you, what did you think about meeting Lisa as if I knew Lisa, but neither of us knew Lisa actually.
And that's okay too. We don't need to know their whole life story or know them personally to be able to talk to them.
I'm sure there's some saying about a good friend of your good friend can easily be your good friend.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I might have just made that up, but
I think you should write that down.
We both know Jodi. And so somebody that she highly recommended, obviously we would instantly fall into an easy conversation with.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And Obviously, if our listeners listen to Jodi's podcast already, they already know how high caliber she is, how Jodi sees a problem and she fixes it. And Lisa has that same sort of mentality. She
Yep.
saw a need, and again, someone who started out volunteering, and
Yeah.
someone saw her talents and said, I want you to come and work
Yeah.
for this. And
Mm-hmm.
she was just like, why me? And again, I tell my kids every situation is an opportunity to
Yep.
network, to meet people, emphasize it enough. She was in the right place at the right time with the right people.
And that doesn't even have to be your intent. I think if you're just
Yeah.
putting good out into the world, then those are connections and those are experiences that you can make that may help you or may help others in the future.
And I think in Lisa's situation, and you and I have talked about this, I really try to network with people.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't know someone, or if I don't personally know, okay, like how to fix your problem or where you can go, I know someone. And we've been here in this valley for 4 years, and I already have people that have been here their whole entire lives. And so they're my first phone calls or texts, and just, okay, I have someone who needs a job, or I have someone who needs housing, or I have
Mm-hmm.
whatever the need may be, and they're always willing to help. And I think that's how we just help each other. And I'll do it for strangers too. Chris is always, did you just give that person your phone number? And I was like, I didn't know how else to help them. And I was, text me your information and I'll pass it on or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lisa's doing a lot of good helping veterans and
Mm-hmm.
military families in Howard County. And I was fascinated to learn about Bright Minds and all that they're
Yeah.
doing, and
Yeah.
her
And
work with
I'm very
trauma.
happy about, and I know it's not just in her community, in her state, but the Purple Star program to help kids more easily transfer from school
Right.
to school district.
Having been in Maryland and having kids in school there, I am so glad to hear that. It was something that we struggled with. And you don't even have to be a military family to really
Mm-hmm.
struggle with that. If you move school districts or even just to a different school, sometimes it feels like you're starting over.
Yep.
And it just adds stress for parents and for the kids. And I remember we moved to Florida and they made our son take a math test. He was horrible at math. He bombed the math. He bombed that test, but it was a placement test for seventh grade math. And it sent him on a trajectory that just, he was always behind in math. And he
Mm,
never really got out of this cycle. That thankfully, that teacher recognized you do not belong in this class. You
mm-hmm.
really don't. And she gave him extra work and she just basically believed in him. And it did help in some ways. And he's obviously a good citizen and has a job, and it doesn't involve too much math, but he can still figure his way out. But
Mm-hmm.
that's personally, I've been affected by that. So I appreciate that there are people like Lisa out there,
Mm-hmm.
working really hard on those things. So
Absolutely. She's another person that I don't know where all her energy comes from. It's incredible. Yeah.
she's the first.
Yeah. But how do we
Yeah,
keep
sorry.
finding these people that seemingly have 32 hours in their day and they are
Right?
changing laws and changing lives
I
and just
know.
doing incredible things? And right now, all I can
Yeah.
think about is wanting to go take a nap.
All these seasons, we find some people, like you said, I only have 24 hours, and it doesn't even feel like I have 24 hours, but these people seem like they get a lot more done in their day. I don't
Yeah.
know. Do they not sleep, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess I am good at wasting time. This laundry sitting next to me has sat here for days. Now, there are four other adults in my house that could take it, but we won't talk about them.
Find us at facebook.com/YSMMF podcast and Instagram at YSMMF podcast for episode announcements. Thanks.